Good morning. Oh my God, it's photo shoot day. It is book cover photo shoot day, y'all. Oh my God. I'm excited. Is excited the right way? I mean, your body doesn't know. If you think about excitement versus anxiety, hang on, my collar's all buckled up. Wait. Talk amongst yourselves. Wait there, hang on. Right. That's better. So yeah, your body doesn't know the difference between excitement and nerves, or excitement and fear, because it triggers the same reactions. So you get that kind of sicky feeling, and you get that kind of that, you know what I'm feeling. I mean, the sweaty palm feeling, the feeling a little bit hot feeling, the feeling am I going to get it right feeling. And like, for all of you out there, I want you to know I get that feeling too. It isn't like I am not immune to it just because I do the job that I do and I share with you in the way that I share. So I don't know why. Like, normally I don't have a problem with shoots. Like, this is me taking a selfie on my bed. Like, I'm okay in front of a camera. I'm normally pretty chill about the situation. But today, this is like my book cover. Now, when I talk about my book cover, so you will have seen Closed Mouths Don't Get Fed, or if you haven't already, you can get this. This is like a little book of how to speak. So you all know I'm a public speaking coach. So this is this is a tiny book. This is a little book, and you can download this online, or you can grab yourself a copy. This picture is a selfie that I took in my bedroom with my ring light. This wasn't a proper shoot. So a proper shoot. This was a selfie that I took. So yes, I do branding shoots. I go branding shoots all the time. But this is a proper one that's going to go on the proper book cover, on the proper book that's going to go on Amazon. Potentially it might go in places like that. So yeah, I need you guys to hug me this morning. Also, there's a lot going on from a family point of view this morning as well. So my lovely stepdad Mick is he has bowel cancer, and he is going into hospital today for the big bit of his fight, which is to have his whole bowel removed. So he is having, there's some big things happening in the family today as well, underneath everything else that's happening up top. So yeah, good vibes, and sending the love and the prayers, and many, I don't even know the words, like properly gratefully received this morning. Let's say hello. Who's first past the post? Lisa Jane, you've been on fire. Getting first past the post this morning. Good morning, Govinda. Good morning, Paulie. Good morning. Morning, HRH. Show us your sassy throne. But I don't even know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I think this is it. I'm lucky that I'm working with, a great photographer, an absolutely fantastic photographer. In fact, shall I show you? I'll show you some of the work that we've done together previously, just to give you an idea of the kind of vibe that we are going for. Give me just a sec, and I'll show you one of the pictures that we've done together. So we did a whole promo shoot it's called Alt Studios in Manchester. So let me just share. I'll share my screen so you can have a little look. Hang on, screen 2. If I move you over there, and you can have a little look. Can I share my screen? Yeah, I can share my screen. There we go. So this is an example of how kind of like stylized it is. So if I show you, this is back when I carried significantly less weight. But this is a sexy shoot, y'all. So we're kind of going for this kind of stylized film noir type situation. We've got a throne. There's going to be a yellow background. So yeah, we are going all in. It won't be as sexy as that. We've got lots of what's the word? It's going to be a little bit more vibrant than that. But yeah, just to give you an idea of the feel and how kind of stylized it's going to be. So I'm really super excited. Morning, Bavner. Good morning, Annie. I'm excited for me too. I'm scared. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it when you guys get it. So next week, I've got a lot of you joining in on the Be Heard So You Want to Be a Speaker challenge and how I'm feeling about the shoot is how some of you may be feeling about doing the challenge. And I want you to know that I get it, and I know how to work through it. So that's what I'm going to be working with you on next week. If you haven't signed up to the challenge, if you have a look at the ticker along the bottom, that is how you sign up. Make sure you are signed up and you have requested to join the pop-up group. We open the doors to that on Friday. Good morning, Becky. Good morning, my darling. How excited are we for you? Govinda, good morning. I've already said good morning to Govinda. It's proper. Yeah, it is a proper book. I got 2 proper books coming out. One is this. It's the I Am the Queen Bee Overcoming Self-Sabotage book. And I'm going to be doing some workshops around that in November as well. Getting us as a community ready for the new year, overcoming self-sabotage, getting out of our own way and showing up and wising up and rising up together. So keep your eyes peeled for that. What else have we got going on? Hey girl, it's raining in Scotland. Usual weather, lovely long time. Oh, thank you, Alice. What's the weather doing where you guys are? Do you know what, Joe? We're definitely gonna have to have a look at these bees because it is not scorchio. It is crisp outside, and we don't have a crispy bee. So I'm kind of torn. I'm gonna put scorchio because it's like the weather's beautiful in Preston. It's raining up in Scotland. There you go, Scotland. Have a little rainy bee. What's the weather doing? Where you are in the world, tell me. Even if you are not in the UK, we'll represent you underneath the compass there. Let us know what is happening where you are. So slightly shorter show today in order for me to get on the road to Manchester. So without further ado, I'm going to bring our guest on this morning. I see you back there in the green room, Joe Fisher. She's all nervous. She was like, oh my goodness. So when we do the show, we ask of our guests to send a picture through, and we send like a little bio, or so I just can get to grips with who I'm speaking to every morning. Because as you know, we are now in the hundreds of shows. And Joe was like, I was just dead nervous, so I didn't send it. I'm like, Joe, we're friends. You've got to get in here. So Joe this morning is going to be talking to us about all things legal and business, being an entrepreneur, and also returning back to work after postnatal depression. So please welcome to the show the very gorgeous, the very talented, the intelligent, the fabulous Joe Fisher. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning, everybody.
So appropriate that you're talking about how nervous you are for your shoot today, because I am literally sweating. I'm sat here thinking, so ridiculous, but
we are a bundle of nerves between us this morning, so we could just have a quick cuddle and just make sure that we're both okay. Are you okay?
All good.
She's all good. I'm all good, really. It is excitement because when you do those things, your body fires off the same chemicals when you are excited. It's actually like psychologists call it arousal, which sounds kinkier than is intended. But yeah, when your body is in a state of, am I excited? Am I not excited? It is excitement. It still fires off that same fight or flight, that cortisol in your body that makes you kind of want to make a dash for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. And I am very, very jealous of your background, by the way, Joe. What a beautiful gaff you've got behind you.
Thank you.
Isn't that stunning, you guys? I've got to live vicariously through you and your gaff this morning, Joe. I'm stuck here in my Rapunzel bedroom waiting to let down my hair.
Well, I've got 3 children all locked in a bedroom upstairs.
So you're the mother gothel this morning. With us, my darling. Tell us a little bit more about what it is that you do, Joe.
Okay, so I'm, as you said earlier, I'm a business lawyer. I work with, I've got just under 20 years now in the industry, and I was on my own in practice from 2013 until when I had my beautiful twins 2 years ago. So I do all things business and commercial contracts, legal advice around your kind of trademarks, patent, defamation, all of that kind of thing, buying and selling businesses. And that's where I was until this whole new world that we're now living in.
It's crazy, isn't it? And it's so lovely to know. I get asked all the time in the Hive, particularly, Joe, when people are creating businesses, that whole trademarking thing, that all, defamation thing. When I was coming through and starting to share my story, I was very, very careful in terms of, I don't know if you know about my story, but I'm a survivor of domestic violence, survivor of homelessness. And there were people that were involved in that situation. And at the time, because they didn't like some of the things that I was saying, even though it was the truth, and even though I was very, very careful to make sure that the parties were as protected as was necessary, being threatened with things like legal action for things like defamation or slander or libel or all those sorts of things, it's good to know that there are people like you out there to help people like us in business who are looking for trademarks or looking for, like, it's an absolute minefield, right?
We just don't know what we don't know, and we go out into the world starting a business, and you're specialist. You're a specialist in your subject. It's all those other little things that can create those anxieties, like you said. You're speaking for other people. If they believe it's causing them damage, could take umbrage to that and come after you. And it's just to know, actually, 9 times out of 10, you're absolutely fine. There isn't going to be a legal issue because you're telling the truth, as you said. And are there really damage? Is there really damage happening that can be quantified? So 9 times out of 10, the advice is you're fine. You're not going to be subject to a litigation battle, but you need that advice to know really that you are okay to carry on.
Right.
And so that's really where I come from in terms of legal advice, and especially to women, which is my passion.
Because in the coaching industry, particularly in the coaching industry, I know you work with female coaches, right? It is rife that people do things like copy signature systems and do all of that sort of stuff. It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult when you are trying to set up a business, when you do have signature systems. It's difficult when not everything's new news. It's difficult when we're teaching things that potentially aren't brand new concepts, but also there is that when we piece it together and teach it in a certain way that does need protecting. And because lots of people go on a course now more so than I'm seeing it, because I'm on the inside of it, will go on a course and then they will be like, I've been on this course and now I want to teach everybody this wonderful thing that I've just learned. It's very difficult being on the receiving end of that when you've been the person to create that magic for that person.
Absolutely. I mean, your content is your copyright. If you take the time to sit down and create something, you've put your words together, and then you've imparted that on your people that have come to your trainings, you have a right to protect that copyright. In terms of registering that, it's really difficult to do. But if somebody purposely takes that information and uses it almost word for word in their own workbooks or training manuals and materials, and you can prove that there is a right of action to come after them down the line. So it's really important that people understand that. But equally, none of us really giving you information here. This is all information that's been out there all the time. So it's making it special, like you have in particular, and putting your slant on it that makes people come to you rather than to somebody else, rather than the actual work being, those words being so special because people
Absolutely. And a lot of the work that I do with people is around, if the more yourself you are, the more people become magnetized to you. If nothing is new news, and the secret is that nothing is new news, like people aren't reinventing the wheel here, they're just delivering it in their style. If you nail your style, then actually you're safe as houses, because people can only come to me for the way that I deliver. People could only come to you for the way that you look after your people. People can only go to the likes of Bhavna Radia, who looks after people from a divorce perspective, like in the way that she does. And it's so important that you do step into that being yourself, so that you become uncopyable, right?
There's not many people that copy the Queen Bee.
It's painful getting all this.
And that's it, putting your slant on it, but equally being aware that there are some things that are crossing those boundaries, and people shouldn't be coming in, taking your information and using it as their own. And the key to that really is getting the contract in place from the beginning. So not going after them from a litigation perspective, But when people come in and sign up to your courses or whatever it is you're offering, having those terms nailed down at that point will make sure that actually it gives people, it doesn't mean that, I mean, I'm going down the road here of saying then you sue them under the terms of your contract. I'm not saying
But
that.
still, it's protection is the best form of protection, right?
And it says to people, I'm not here to be copied. I've
Yeah.
taken time to put these terms and conditions in place. I've looked after my copyright, and I expect you to honour it if you want to purchase from me. If you don't,
Yeah.
buy from me.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello. My daughter's just come to say hello real quick.
Do I need to go to the shop to get some?
I don't know. Daddy, ask Daddy, sweetie. See, because it's right in the middle of school. I know you've done that. It's all right. I feel like we're on the same wavelength. I love it. She pops her head around because for the past 6 to 7 months, I've been doing this. They've all been asleep. I've managed to get the show done, and they only wake up. Maybe Ivy will come in and rub her eyes and come and say good morning. But the other older two, Poppy's already gone. She's already on the way to school, and Daisy's sort of like, what's happening? I'm here, but I'm not here.
Yeah, my eldest is gone, but the other three monkeys are they're all locked in.
So, one of the things that we wanted to talk about today isn't just the legal stuff. I mean, that's what you do, but one of the stories that you share, and one of the important things that is worth talking about is coming back to work when you have had children, because that is difficult, isn't it?
It's so tough. So just to give you a bit of backstory, and I know but work after having them, I used to hide my 5-year-old under the desk and all sorts, and have meetings, and just carried on going as if nothing had happened, nothing had changed. And then we had a surprise pregnancy with which ended up being twins. Wasn't planned at all. I mean, there was nothing.
If you're gonna have a surprise, don't do that surprise by halves.
No, and that was it. It blew my mind. And at that point, I just kind of went, right, okay, this is not going to work now. I can't hide 2 babies under the desk.
How do you do this and this?
It's just not going to work. So I made a decision. When I look back, I made it out of panic, and I closed down my business. I shut it down completely. Right. And I remember on my 2 days, I think I was in the hospital having my last consultancy appointment, and I was signing the documents to shut everything down at the same time, just panic. Which was quite an extreme thing to do when I look back, but at the time I was thinking, I just need to look after these babies.
And you don't make the best overall decisions when you're in a place of stress, do you? It's difficult when you're feeling stressed, and we were talking about fight or flight this morning. If you're in a position where you've got the potential of 2 babies here, and you've got a business, and you've also got other babies that you've got to look after as well, like, that's a stressful situation. It's very difficult to make considered. Really, because you think they're considered at the time, but it's panic, isn't it, that drives those?
Yeah, it was absolute panic. And I wouldn't make that decision now. There's other things you can do. But I'd become quite unwell in the pregnancy, and lots of things going on. This is what I should do. I also know that when I've always been children, but I'm never really emotionally. I cry when I look at them, so I know what I'm coming up against, and I was thinking, this is 2. It's going to be even worse this time around. And I'm a worrier, so put all of that together, and it's like, whoa.
I hear you.
So yeah, I stopped altogether. Had the boys. They were very small. They were very fragile. So everything was really fraught for that first few months. But they were beautiful. But my mental health just waned on me. When I look back at some, I mean, I ran away one night in the middle of the night with the babies and booked into an Airbnb and locked myself in there for days, just thinking I need to just be with these babies.
Yeah.
And I think for women, the world doesn't stop when we have babies. People are at the door. There were still clients contacting me who were thinking, what's going on? Where have you gone? I just didn't have the headspace to be being Joe Fisher lawyer and mum of 4, which was never really planned. So yeah, things spiraled quite quickly. I became quite unwell, and I never think, if I'm honest, that I'd be back here working again, because I'd kind of written that part of my life off. And I think as women, we feel that sometimes we have to fit into a box. So I'm a mum now, so I can't be all of these other things, or I'm a lawyer and I have to be this type of person. And then I'd done it before, and I just needed to get my together and do it again.
Yeah, it's just working out what works then, isn't it? It's the consideration that you then got to give is that how do you make it work instead of thinking, oh God, I can't do it, or the two worlds are so different that they cannot collide. Actually, I mean, especially I guess within law and within, dare I say, the more serious businesses, and not that my business isn't serious, but the more you understand what I mean. There's a lot of there's a lot of study that needs to go into doing what you do. There's a lot of, there's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of work. There's a reason why you have to study so long to work within the field, and it's because it's a lot of work when you get inside. It's working out how do you make that work. It's the age-old work-life balance question. How do we make the family work? How do we make the business work? How do we fit it together? But if you resign yourself to the fact that you can't, and then that's it, and then it's done, as soon as you start looking for solutions, actually, you can see how it can bolt together. And it might mean pressing pause. It might mean just stopping for a second and taking stock. Or it might mean actually, can you hide the kids under the desk? You don't have to. You shouldn't feel pressured to. But is that something that you need to do? Is it for, like in my instance, for the sake of lockdown or during lockdown, I was just going to get my head down and pray to God that the kids were going to be all right off at the backside of it, but know that it was finite and it was just the pushing through that I had to do in order to keep the family afloat. And I'm very, very lucky that I've got a supportive husband and a supportive family, and the kids they understand that mummy's got herself holed up like this at the moment, but it's finite. This is only for now, and we're going to work on a work-life balance sort of thing, but it's looking for those solutions, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And that was a so if we look at, the gig economy is full of women. It's full of employed women, and there's a reason for that. Work 9 to 5 doesn't fit in with being a mum. Having a profession doesn't fit in really with being a mum. You've got the late meetings, you've got the early starts. Hours are long as well in law firms. So I knew that things had to change, which is why I set up on my own actually in 2013, because I had one child. I knew I did want another, and I needed to make that work. So it's really important that we recognise actually that the self-employed industry is there because a lot of women are forced into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are issues around that in terms of, so when I stop working because I'm self-employed, you stop earning money. And there are gaps out there. So the government really do look at things like that and think, like, what happens to these women? Because it's all great to say you've got a husband or a partner who will support you through those times, but should they really have to in this day and age? We should be able to still manage our own finances and our own careers once we've had a baby. So I think there's lots of talk around that needs to be had still. But equally, women do go into this new world of self-employment, and they completely thrive because they can manage the balance. You can be a mum, be at the school gate. You can take the days off that you need. You can make great money if you're doing it right, but you've equally still got a little bit of balance and control over what you're doing. So I think, and it's having the mental capacity to actually sit back and take a deep breath and think, right, okay, I can do this, but I need to put things in place. And like you said, you've got a supportive husband and family, and we all need that support network around us to be able to do it.
So when you said, about, getting back to work and solution seeking and looking for ways that you can make it work with 4 kids and having a family and having a sustainable business, you had postnatal depression thrown into the mix as well. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about that, and how did that affect your life? How did that affect how you came back into work? Because with my 2 younger children, I had postnatal depression, arguably probably had situational depression based on all of the things that were going on. The whole mental health thing was probably, even though I was predisposed, was quite situational. But with both children, I was diagnosed with postnatal depression, and you don't just wake up one morning and that's gone.
And it's not gone. If I'm sure it will ever be totally gone. There's definitely things I have to do every single day to make sure I take care of my mind and I take time for myself. So it is definitely an ongoing battle. And twins are 2, so they're going into that terrible 2s age, which again is a whole new world of stress. So I think it is about managing it. And you're totally right in terms of situations and those risk indicators that mean we're more predisposed to it because life is stressful anyway. So
Yeah.
closing down a business, having those financial worries of not having that income, it all built up for me. And there were some really hairy moments where I just wanted the world to go away.
To stop. Yeah, just I can see myself saying, like, just everybody leave me the fuck alone. Just stop. Everybody just leave me alone and let me stop. I just want to go to bed. Like, just let me sleep. Sleep will do just fine, thank you. But
I'm a person.
You're spinning so many plates.
And it's the thing in company law, just to come back, when a company has difficulty, there's a legal process called a moratorium, which says, right, everyone in the world, leave this company alone, give them a few months to sort out what they're doing and work out their finances and where, if they're going to carry on, if they're going to stop. And at the time, I can remember just thinking, why isn't there something like this for women when they have a baby? Why is it that the next day the world carries on as if nothing's changed, but you've got the world going on? So it's things like that. You're right. I just wanted everyone to go away and leave me alone, let me get my head straight. And the pressure was constant. I mean, there was knocks on the door, and in terms of people, you owe us money in the business, and I'm like, the business has stopped. We've got to just take a breather here and let me get back. So to answer your question, it hasn't gone away. It is something I have to manage all the time, to be clear in terms of your days you're going to be working, the hours that you need to be dedicated to certain tasks. And I mean, I met Abby Horn, and when I say I met her, I'd been watching her online for...
She's my heart. I just love her so much.
And at the time I was watching her online, and I was in a very, very emotional time. And I thought, I'd love to just get these words out of my head and onto paper. And I messaged her. She was promoting something. I messaged her and said, just need to say this out loud, even though it's a really long ranting email. Is this something that's worth me thinking about putting onto paper? And Abby, she was absolutely wonderful.
She's amazing.
Came back and was like, you have to do this. There's so many women that are in that situation and don't really know if what they're feeling is normal. Is this right? Am I is something wrong with me? No, there's nothing wrong with you. It's the world's crazy and carrying on, and your body just needs a little bit of time to catch up, and your mind too.
Yeah, and this is a construct. We live in this construct that actually, if we excuse me, I've got that morning like frog in my throat thing going on. If we remember, and we forget this often, that we are animals, and actually in our mammalian environment we would be protectors, and we would be, the caregivers, and that would be our job. Everything else around us is our own construct. So while the bit of our brain that is still an animal hasn't caught up with the fact that we have to worry about all these external things. So when we become parents, for both parents, our bodies want to focus on doing that thing, but we still have all of this other stuff. So no wonder when we're spinning all these plates that really, from a biological point of view, we shouldn't even be having to think about. No wonder the house of cards starts to tumble a little bit. No wonder we start to drop these plates, and we don't talk about it. And I think we're given more language for it now than we ever have, but it's not something that we talk about because we're frightened to death of feeling inferior.
Feeling inferior and feeling shameful. I mean, one of the biggest things for me was anger. I was so angry, and I was angry with the world because I was thinking, why is this? Why do I feel like this at the moment? Why did I have to close my business? Why can't I carry on like a man does? Why am I... Equally, I love these babies so much, and I just want to cuddle them all day. All the time. But women don't talk about anger. We're not allowed to be angry, really, and the world is changing. We're allowed to say that out loud now. But I remember
we can say it out loud, whether we get listened to is a different kettle of fish. But we could embrace our anger now in more safe spaces. Like here, we talk about we get angry. We get angry as hell up in here. It's all good,
and it should be okay, shouldn't it? I remember saying to the health visitor one day, it's so ridiculous looking back. I said, I've carried boys, so do you think I've got more testosterone in my body at the moment?
Oh God, instead of just allowing yourself to be angry.
And she said, no, I don't think it's that. I think you're just in that phase. Life's changing for you, and you're fighting back and saying, I want to cling on to this and everything else. So yeah, it's dealing with all those emotions and feeling like it's okay to say out loud, I'm angry with the fact
Yeah.
all of these things made my life change. But equally, I love my children more than anything in the world, and that's okay. It's not
Yeah.
you should choose between one or the other.
It's learning how to say this is all okay, isn't it? Because and I'm so sorry to anybody out there who isn't a parent that hasn't actually experienced this. I don't want to alienate any of our listeners, but when you do become a parent, you think things physically shift. You can't help but think about things in a different way. You are suddenly responsible for keeping other human beings alive, and you might think what, and I remember me not thinking I was particularly that maternal, even though I love my children viciously, like viciously love my children. Like I want to punch him. I love him. I don't really want to punch him, but I get that mum squishy feeling. But I remember prior to having children thinking, well, I'm just not that maternal. I'm not that kind of way. I'm gonna have a career and I'm gonna do this, that, and the other. And then I had kids, and that changed the way that I was. And I wasn't expecting to feel like that. And we are thrown. One of a friend of the show and a client of mine, she's called Naomi Ella, and she's wonderful. She talks about matrescence. So we go through childhood. So you were a baby, then we're a toddler, and then we go through childhood, and then we go through adolescence, and then from adolescence we move into adulthood. But there's this chunk of growth missed out called matrescence, the becoming of being a mum. And that is a whole, if you think about how grotty you are when you're a teenager, and as you're changing from being a child into a teenager, and how confusing that time is, it is just as confusing and just as hormonal when you become a mum.
Yeah, when did it become so normal to become a mum? I mean, I'm a feminist through and through. I want equality, but come on, this is a massive thing that women go through. Growing a baby and giving birth and cesarean with the boys. So it's a major operation, but literally they went, there you go, there's 2 babies.
There's babies.
All right, okay.
Okay.
All of that becomes so normal. And it happens all the time, which is why obviously it's become normal. But people have stopped giving pregnancy and childbirth the importance that it deserves, and just saying, right, okay, that's a little bubble. I know we get maternity leave. You get some rubbish wage for 6 months, and you're told to stay at home and look after your baby. But if you're in the self-employed world, that doesn't work.
You don't. I don't know about you. I was back at work out. Oh, Naomi's here. She just tuned in at the right time. Good morning, Naomi. So she talking about I got Naomi just completely threw me then. What were we just saying? What was we just saying then?
This is the same lady about matrescence.
Yes. She just like jumped. She just joined us at the right time. But what was we saying directly before then? We was talking
about how normal childbirth has become.
Right. But it's not. It is such a huge change. It is such a huge change. So when or if we was talking about going back to work directly after, and I was just about to ask you. With Ivy, so with my 2 elder children, I was back at work within 10 weeks. So I took as much as corporate would give me, and then I had to get back to work because there was no way I could afford to live on £411 a month is what it was at the time.
Yeah.
And that was, you can't, like, that wasn't even my rent. That wasn't even my mortgage. Well, at the time, my mortgage, that wasn't even enough to cover the roof over my head. In fact, so much so that we ended up becoming homeless anyway. But with being self-employed, I was back up and down the motorway lugging speakers around 2 weeks after. I was very lucky that I didn't have a cesarean, because the recovery time from that is much more significant. But back after 2 weeks, because I couldn't take the time off.
You had to, yeah. And I was the same with my first. I took 6 months off, but I was in an employed job. I was going back to a pay rise because it was all a new career that I was in 2007. And then when I had my second daughter, I'd literally started my business in 2013, and she was born the 11th of September 2014. So there was no option to. It was.
You got to keep pushing, because you're pushing the stationary car. You're trying to get things moving. You can't stop.
I had 2 employees then. I had an office that we were paying rent on. It had to keep going, and I did keep going. But and I look back now, that was all a bit insane as well. If I
You think you're nutter.
So when the twins came along, I thought, I know I can't do that again this time. So
Yeah.
equally as pressurized as it was going back straight away after the second, giving up altogether, because in my heart, I'm a lawyer, I'm a working mum. It was even harder, if I'm totally honest, to give it up, because it just meant part of my life that I wasn't exploring anymore. My real passion in life is to help other people, and I trained to be a lawyer for that reason, and to not be able to do that anymore, actually. And my partner worked all the hours to make sure we didn't have to worry really about money, but I had a big part of me missing, which was.
But then that's your identity, isn't it? And like I was saying to you about not maybe feeling particularly maternal despite loving my kids, being a mum doesn't, and which is why I don't really sit within that kind of mumpreneur. I know lots of you do, and there's nothing wrong with it, but for me, it doesn't feel right. Like, I am just somebody who has a business. Nobody asks my husband, like, oh, who's doing the school run, or are you okay for this meeting because you're going to pick up the kids, and he looks after all of that. I don't look after all of that. I'm just a person who has a business, and I just find it strange, which is why I love this sort of situation, meeting people like you, and that being a mum doesn't define who I am, even though it's a huge part of who I am. My work and my purpose in life is also equally as big a part of who Dani Wallace is, as opposed to kind of just being mum. And it's totally cool for those of you out there that are defined by parenthood. That's okay. But for me, that just didn't fit. That didn't fit.
And that was exactly it. I did want to be that stay-at-home mum. I had visions of sat out on the lawn with the babies on a rug.
Yeah, I'd have done it if I got paid.
The truth was, I didn't feel like that was all I needed in my life. And as much as I adored them, I was always looking for something else. I mean, I used to open my laptop and put it on the side and think, I've got no one to email. There's no email. What am I looking for? I was waiting for emails to come through, and it was just that creative anxiety, because I felt I had to be doing something other than just looking after these 2 babies. So
it's crackers. So you did put pen to paper in the end.
I'm in the middle of doing that now.
Yeah, you are.
It's been harder than I expected it to be. I think I thought, I'm going to write a book. Digging back into those quite dark moments has been emotional, and some moments you just don't want to go back and really think about, do you?
I'm with you.
You have to. And I'm
I tell from somebody who's just come through the other side of it, from one book writer to another, from one author to another, those dark, I had to take to my bed for a couple of days after writing some of the really dark stuff. I was like, because even though I've healed from those particular points in time that I was talking about, to write about it and do that time justice in a way that is compelling for people to read, which is ultimately what we've got to do as authors, I had to kind of put myself, even if it was a voyeur in the situation, still watching past me go through all of those things and making all of those decisions and wanting to equal parts shake her and hug her. Like, that was an emotional situation to find myself in. And if anybody out there is, thinking about writing a book, do. But if you're going to those places, make sure that you're safe and you've got healing and people around you to help support you through it. Because, you've got to, sometimes I can't go in here without, an appropriate adult.
I'm totally with you. Yeah, and it is that. And some of the moments where I think about my eldest is 13, some of the things she saw and how she watched her mum go from quite a strong woman to really being fragile. It's tough to go back over those things, but it's a process actually that's helping me heal as well.
Absolutely. Coming through the other side of having written the book, I feel so much stronger off the back of it. I've really realized how much I went through, because when you're going through stuff, you don't kind of think it has a lot of gravity. You don't think it has a lot of weight, but your survival, when you write about your survival, becomes somebody else's survival guide, which I know your book is going to be for so many people when you've when you've written it. I cannot wait to read it and share it. And when it's all done and dusted and you're ready for launching, Jo, will you please come back on the show so we can share it with everybody?
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you. Yeah, it'd be great.
Amazing. So what's coming up next for you? So obviously you're in the middle of writing the book.
I've also, so Abby, as amazing as she is, introduced me to Lisa Johnson, who's been helping me. So with all of the pandemic, when I was about to come back to work, January, I was thinking I'm going to go back to what I was doing before. Obviously, COVID hit, and I kind of thought, right, I need to be doing things differently. I need to be more online. So I'm working with Lisa and Jay Gemma, actually, who's equally as amazing.
Amazing.
And they're helping me to really structure my business online so I can reach more amazing women like you and all these wonderful coaches out there, because there's a whole world of women that I've not really reached yet.
Yeah, so it's almost only just the beginning for you entering this space. It's kind of like I was 18 months ago, with all of the skill set and all of the, you know, the ability to teach people to talk, present, and all of that sort of stuff, but actually finding this space where all of you guys hang out, where, you know, we have such an incredible time together. It's a whole world. And having mentors like Lisa Johnson, having mentors like Jay Gemma on your side, I was in their mastermind, started this time last year, actually, and it was incredible. I was part of the Wave Mastermind, and it really was. It was game changing. Having the right mentors, having the right coaches, people who have gotten to where like that we like to be, or we would like to be, and have overcome adversity, and success leaves clues. And having incredible mentors like that really, really does make a whole heap of difference. So I'm made up that you're working with them, because you are guaranteed that is a surefire way of setting yourself up for all manner of crazy success. I'm so excited to watch you grow even more through all of that and working with those two powerhouses.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Abby as well, to be honest. I feel like three women have kind of, well, actually, there's more than three. I'm watching all of you online, and I couldn't have done this 6 months ago. I couldn't have sat here and talked to you, and there was probably 10 minutes.
So proud of you.
But I was thinking, I can't do it. I'm not doing it. So, yeah, having those people behind you it's given me confidence more than anything. Because, as I said earlier, we don't know what we don't know, and we need to have people around you to support you.
Well, Jo, you've absolutely smashed it this morning. Considering you were so nervous, you have nailed it. Hasn't she done well? You guys give her some love. Hit the like, the love, the share button for this morning. This is an important conversation. When we are entering into parenthood, for those of us that choose to enter parenthood, or for those that fall into parenthood, it is a massive change, and you can still be successful and still be a successful parent. We are all winging it. We are all getting through it, and if we get through it together, then we get through it better. Jo Fisher, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Have a great day and enjoy your shoot.
Thank you very much. I'm going to pop my crown on now and go and hop off onto the motorway. Make sure you pop any links into the comments, Jo, so that we can come and hang out with you further and find out more about what you do. That would be brilliant. Do that after the show. But Jo Fisher, everybody, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for getting up early with us. That was Jo Fisher. What an incredible woman. What a fantastic story. Postnatal depression is real. Spinning all of the plates as a parent is a real thing, and it is a massive shock to the system when you are an entrepreneur and you've got to kind of work out all of those things. The more that we do together, the more that we share this, the more that we give it the language that it deserves, the more we realize that we are not on our own. And if that has been a little bit of golden nugget that you take away with you this morning, then that is my job done. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show at Rise Up Show. We are finishing a little bit earlier this morning. I am now off to I'm feeling like Jo did before the show now. I am now going to go and get in the car, go to the motorway, go and head on into hair and makeup, and go and have my photo shoot for my book cover. If you have not signed up to the Be Heard, so you want to be a speaker challenge, the ticker going along the bottom will show you how. We'll also pop the links in here as well. You have got until Monday to get yourself signed up. If you have signed up, make sure you are waiting. You're knocking on the door of the pop-up group, the Be Heard, September 2020 challenge group. Make sure you have requested to join that. That is where it will be taking place. You guys are absolutely incredible. I love you. I will, if you are on Instagram, please do go and follow me on Instagram, the Queen Bee Dani, where on my stories, I'm going to be sharing with you what we get up to today. I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow, bright and breezy, 8 o'clock for the show up, Rise Up show. Happy Tuesday, y'all.